back, guys, to the Spurgeon Piper. This is Wilson with you. So I'm sitting here out at the end of a trail in the Ozarks in Arkansas. Uh, my wife and I, the kids, we got away for a week. We were able to do so, fortunately, finding a cabin. It's actually specifically for ministers, pastors who are looking for a retreat. So it really worked out well. I'm grateful for the owners, but we were able to get away. Today's the last full day. We're headed back into the full swing of things. But it has been one of the most relaxing vacations I've had in recent history. My wife has thought the same thing. In fact, it may be the most relaxing vacation I've had, and it's also been one of the more retrospective vacations. Time to find clarity in things, and not just for myself, but actually conversations with my wife, with our family, and where we are, and other things in life. And so wasn't planning on making a video, but I thought I would cover some things that I'm personally, that for this channel, I'm seeking to make changes in, whether it's, again, for the channel or for our family or what have you. Now, before I get into that, I will share, because I don't often do so, I will share. I am smoking out of my Dragonbriar Rhodesian. He doesn't make, this is Joshua Ronish, who I did interview on the channel. He doesn't make pipes anymore, unfortunately, but which is unfortunate. He's fantastic and very talented. I am smoking Emerson Southern Forge's Port Marion, and I do have this pouch, just in case you're wondering what I'm packing. I bought three pipes with me. I actually brought 2 pouches. This is one I'm currently using right now. And it has a little valet on the back. I wrapped in it. And one last thing. Don't know how the quality of the sound is. This is just on my cell phone, so smartphone. So bear that in mind. So with the channel, let me start there. I've noticed over the past 2 years, going on 3 years, I've had this channel. I've slowed down on the amount of production or videos I've produced. At one point I was doing 2 every week, and then I went to 1 every week, and I feel like as of lately I've been doing 1 every other week. I'd like to get back to 1 every other week. I think that's sustainable. Amongst very many things this past year, life got hectic, which led to having to pull away from the YouTube channel, because, hey, guess what? It's not my priority in life. I have others, with whether it's the church or the family or what have you, and so I have to take care of those things. But part of the reason it occurred, as far as dropping off on YouTube videos last year, was because of the difficulty of last year. I sat down with my wife at Thanksgiving. It was just us this year. We didn't have anyone else. We didn't do anything. And I mentioned, this is the hardest year I've had. This is the hardest year of our marriage, and I don't mean specifically like our marriage is on the rocks or anything like that. Though with other issues in life, it brought challenges, but nothing serious. I just meant, when I told her that since we've been married, and we've been married 13 years, it's been the hardest year. And we've had some very difficult moments. Losing my dad right when my new firstborn son was born, which I was 22. Losing my farming business because of Hurricane Harvey back in 2008, which brought a big transition, and there's been some other issues in the midst of those. Our first couple years were quite difficult, but even with all that, this was the hardest year, and there's multiple things going on that brought that I won't get so much into. Some of it deals with the church, some of it deals with our priorities. and also deals with myself in contentment. My wife and I in contentment, but I'll pick on myself. Contentment can be quite a problem for me, and I'm sure most people, but for me it can be. And I can see part of it comes from family, or as far as my mom struggled with contentment in life. And I probably get that more from her, where my dad was a farmer and was fairly content. I mean, frustrating with things, be it if you've ever been around a farm, you know you can be pretty frustrated with how things are going, but as far as needing to go to the next step. And then occasionally there's times where we do need to take a step, but I guess contentment, the issue there has been when things have been very difficult, I want to jump to a next thing to escape the difficulties. And, or in fact, this is where my strong comfort and dependency in a sovereign God conflicts. I'm preaching through the book of James right now, and it talks about how the Lord brings us through trials and suffering to build steadfastness and perseverance and patience. It's not for nothing. It's not meaningless. And these are the ways, the means by which he produces character in us. And so I've had to, while preaching through this, I've had to preach through myself first to kind of use Augustine's language. I've had to repent of my lack of contentment and find the benefit of the trials, the storms, the frustrations that I'm at and I'm currently in. Hey, there's a deer. Sorry. So that has been one thing that I've wanted to be more mindful of going in through this year is contentment. And we may be brought, the Lord may bring us somewhere else, but in the meantime, I want to see how can I fully give him glory and serve him now where I am, even if things are not suited my way or things are more difficult. They are being brought forth for a purpose. They're not, again, meaningless. And they're building me up to be a better father and a husband, a pastor, and an overall follower of Christ. And so that is a big thing I want to focus on during this year. Is it may not show itself in any outward way as far as any changes, but inwardly being more content. Now, getting back to the YouTube channel, because I feel like I got off track there a bit. With the YouTube channel, I do want to be more consistent. I do want to get more into more practical theology and practical ways of life. And whether that's just simply me producing it or having someone to interview is how raising children, which I have 4, or how to lead a household. And then other areas of life and theology as well, which I'd love to get more involved in and add that into the channel as well. So outside of that, with our family, my wife and I have been talking about one thing we want to do, which has been an issue, but we really want to get it settled, is the priorities for our children and how we discipline, raise them. One thing that's been tough is leaving the farm. So before here, I was farming, and I left for various reasons. One was because the farming business went down because of the weather and Hurricane Harvey. But that lifestyle for the kids was difficult to leave, not just for me, but the kids. And I knew how beneficial it was because I saw the benefit of it. And then so we moved into town, and I've back to contentment. Have always had that in the back of my mind of I want to be back there, and in the moment we're not, and that might change whether we purchase something nearby us or however else it may come about, but we can still raise our kids with the same ethics with the same discipline of works or a work ethic that I was raised with. And part of that is having more responsibilities for them. And I saw the benefit of it growing up, and I want them to have that as well. Also, that involves we are taking away a lot of our TV and social media outlets, narrowing down what we do have and what we do use, and not only for ourselves but for them, modeling better caretakers of time and of the household and of our minds through reading, discussion, skills. And so instead of having our time in TV, which it's very easy to do, and there's even time for it. I don't want to say that we need to be Little House on the Prairie folks and we need to get rid of our televisions or social media, what have you, which you may, but I'm not saying that that's a necessity. But I feel we've gone off with so much comfort that we have lost a lot of our skills in the ways that build work ethic. And that's something we want to instill back with our kids. Something we want to work on again with ours as we're in this time of life. So that is one of the things we want to do. Along with finally, with my church, continue to build strong discipleship in the church and not always look outwardly, which there's a need for that. But if you have a garden with a lot of weeds and you keep trying to plant more things and bring more seeds into it, they're going to struggle, aren't they? And that's oftentimes what can occur in a church. And I've seen often in my background, and well, statistics back it up a bit as well, or studies. But if the church is not healthy, it's hard to truly build loving neighbors or draw in others with strong biblical grounding when the church is unhealthy. And that's something I want to continue to work on. It has been a focus, but more building natural relationships, more on building up the body of Christ amidst the church already. And so if we are a strong garden cleared up of root or cleared up of weeds, we can more easily bring in more seeds to plant. Hopefully that analogy works a bit and explains what I'm trying to get at. But that's one thing we want to focus on going forward. I want to focus on going forward, and we've already seen the fruits of that. This is something that's already occurred at the end of this past year, second half of this past year, and I'm grateful for what the Lord has done, which I can often forget. So those are things I want to work on this year. I know resolutions are kind of get a bad image, bad reputation, but they can be beneficial. And this is not so much New Year's resolutions per se, but it's beginning of the year, and they're things I want to work on. And abnormal video, but I thought I would share them because it's a time of reflection, and I enjoy sharing some of these things on the channel, not only for my benefit, but your benefit as well. So I look forward to getting into more things with you coming up this year. This is not so much emotional or faith-based or anything like that, but also look forward to kind of ramping up and upgrading some of my equipment, especially video equipment. So look forward to that. I look forward to getting that changed and hopefully getting some interviews done. Traveling to do interviews would be fantastic as well. So if you have thoughts or questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. Always encourage them, and you can share your feelings, whether for yourself or for me or what have you. So guys, that's all I have this week. I hope you're doing blessed, because I am, and I'm grateful for the getaway we've had and relaxation. So I hope you're doing well, and we'll talk to you very soon.